In this video, I'm going to talk four most widely used valuation ratios. They are PE ratio, right? The second one is price to book ratio. Third one is price to cash flow ratio. And finally, we have price to sales ratio. So if you look at these ratios, you find a common thing, that is price is being compared with different fundamentals of the company, right? The first ratio compares price with earning per share. The second one compares price with book value per share. Third one compares price with cash flow per share. And finally, this final ratio compares price with sales per share ratios. So all of these ratios are used to assess whether the stock is a undervalued stock or overvalued stock. In a way, all of these ratios are used to assess the quality of stock. So let's learn about these ratios one by one. And let's talk about this PE ratio, P over E ratio. PE ratio usually defined as market price over earning per share. And earning per share is computed as net income over number of shares outstanding, right? So that number basically tells how much investors are willing to pay for a dollar of reported earnings, right? And that number could be high or could be low as compared to the market or industry average. So if the PE ratio is high, what does this mean? That means the investors are willing to pay more as compared to the reported earning. And that usually is true for the company when investors see high potential for growth. That's why stock with high P ratio are usually referred as growth stocks. And if the PE ratio is low or lower compared to the market or industry average, these kind of stocks are usually called value stocks because these are more mature stocks and investors do not want to pay a lot more as compared to how much it is earning because they are already matured and there's not much growth for the future. So these P ratio are very widely used by investors to figure out whether to invest or not. So another ratio is price to book ratio, right? And this is computed as market price over book value per share, and that book value per share is computed as total shareholder equity over number of shares outstanding, right? And in this ratio, this market price is being compared with the book value of the stock. Price to book ratio, if that is greater than 1, what does this mean? It implies that investors believe that the company is more valuable than the amount invested by the shareholder. Conversely, if that price to book ratio is less than 1, that means investors think this company is less valuable than the total amount invested by the shareholders. And this ratio also can be used to assess whether the stock is overvalued or undervalued, and how much value is exactly right. There's no one answer to this. What you have to do is you have to compare this price to book ratio with the competitor or industry average or the market. And when you compare the price to book ratio of your company with the competitor or industry or the market, and then you can figure out whether the stock in general is overvalued or undervalued. So another ratio that we are interested is price over cash flow per share. And this cash flow per share is computed as operating cash flow over number of shares outstanding. And in this ratio, the price is being compared with how much cash the company is being able to generate through its operations. And usually this ratio low is considered as good a company. Again, you have to compare all these ratios that you compute with the competitor industry average and the market. So you compute this price to cash flow ratio for your company, and you compute same ratio for competitor industry average and the market, and you compare. And based on your comparison, you sometimes find your company is better than the market or industry average, and sometimes your company might be worse. And keep in mind, this ratio is like other ratio. It basically tells how much investors are willing to pay for a dollar amount of reported cash flow. So finally, I want to talk about this price to sales ratio, and this is computed as market price over sales per share, and sales per share is computed as total revenue over number of shares outstanding. Again, in this ratio, price is being compared with sales per share, right? And it measures how much investors are willing to pay for a dollar amount of reported sales revenue. And again, this usually low is better, and you have to compute price to sales ratio for your company, and you have to get the same ratios for competitor, industry, and the market, and you compare this ratio with the industry or the market and decide whether your company is doing good or not. Thank you.